Hey YouTube, Dan the Man, back with another video. And usually I watch a lot of videos, and most of them, you always learn something. I usually learn something, but there's a few that I'll be watching and I'll see something that's just kind of ridiculous or that I don't agree with, and I try not to single people out. I have my favorites on there that I'm subscribed to, and then there are a few that I don't know, just I disagree with. Um, One of the things we were watching last night was when the shit hits the fan, when there's a disaster, maybe for you, I don't know, there's a tsunami, or for someone else there's a blizzard or a hurricane or tornado, and then after the shit hits the fan, what happens? Who do you need to worry about it? Some say you got to watch out. There'll be hunters moving through that are armed, and you got to watch out for motorcycle gangs, and you got to watch out for the gangs from the city. Well, I don't know. I was thinking about it, and if you got time to comment, let me know if you agree. But I don't really agree with a lot of that. I know there's gangs in the cities. You always got to worry about those guys, but they survive in those city areas where there are people to prey on. Their main focus usually drugs and petty crimes and things like that. And to me, to do that, they're going to have all they want in the cities, because if you ask me, when the shit hits the fan, the number one place where you're going to see bad stuff happening is wherever there's the most people, and the most people in the cities, the stores where the stuff is. So when you look at all the disasters and people looting, it's in these cities, and it's going to depend on where you are. But if you're in a big city, those center of the cities, if you watch Katrina, where that Superdome, that's where you didn't want to be there, and that's where the government told you to go, and that's where you didn't want to be. Rapes, murders, assaults, robberies, that's where you did not want to be. And so I think those gangs that are in those cities, they're going to continue to prey mostly in those cities. There'll come a time when maybe they'll have to branch out, but there's plenty of supplies for people in cities. It's just, are you willing to fight over that stuff with all those idiots who aren't prepared? If you live in the suburbs, what I believe is you've got the center of these suburb areas, your strip malls, and even I have one big grocery store right down here where everybody goes, and it's got, grocery stores, bakeries, some restaurants. It's all in one area, and those areas get hit. And so what I'm getting at is they're talking about, these roving gangs and motorcycle gangs and people moving through your neighborhood. I tend to think that you're going to have pockets of problems wherever you go. You're going to have, and most times it's going to be where the stuff is, which is why you don't want necessarily people to know that you've got a garage full of food and water and all that, because you can become that center of maybe of just your block, where people know, hey, that guy's got guns, or that guy's got food, or that guy has water. and they're little microcosms. Your house might be that area with the stuff of your block, and that grocery store might be that central area of your neighborhood. And the Walmart that's a little further out, that might be the area for more people to kind of gravitate to. And that's what I see happening is the shit hits the fan, the cities are the worst, everybody rushes in, the looting begins, people start hitting the Walmarts and the gas stations, looking for water, looking for food. I think if I think about it, the people that I would worry about maybe the most are the people right around you, the people that aren't prepared. I don't see someone that lives on my street necessarily taking off to the city when they know how bad it is in the city. I don't necessarily see that. But you're a product of your environment. You're going to be in that area, and you're going to prey on, or you're going to try to get your supplies and what you need as close as possible. So I don't see these big gangs all of a sudden just branching out to the neighborhoods. They're going to have plenty of chaos. They're going to have plenty of victims right where they are, because 90% of the people in those cities won't know where to go. Again, look at the Katrina videos. They're wandering aimlessly through the city streets. They're like sheep. They're led into that dome where it's just no water, no sewage, just horrible. And that's not where I want to be. That's not where I would ever be. So I think what I would worry about, not so much these groups that are already criminals, they're always there. What happens is these normal people, the normal people that are desperate, what's more dangerous than, they tell you, you're in the forest and you see a grizzly bear, yeah, watch yourself. You see a grizzly bear with cubs, now you've got to watch out. The most dangerous animal to me is any animal protecting its young. And the most dangerous human is a human, male or female, protecting its children. I'm protecting my kids. If I'm desperate, there's nothing you can do. You don't matter to me if it means the survival of my kids. And so it doesn't have to be some motorcycle gang. It doesn't even have to be people that were bad or that, shit hits the fan, the jobs are gone, the income's gone, maybe your water doesn't run, maybe no electricity, no contact, no food. So a guy who's protecting his family, who has no water, who has no food, that's the guy that I'm worried about. And I mean, criminals will be criminals. Gang members, they're scumbags. I'll admit it. They found their way to prey on people. But a parent that is trying to keep their child alive is a whole different thing. Because I happen to know, I've known some bad characters in my time, and they're nasty suckers. But what they are is they're creatures of opportunity, and they take the path of least resistance. If you leave a purse in your car and they see it, it's gone. But they're not necessarily going to run through a gauntlet and evade the cops just to get something. They're going to go the easiest way. When you're desperate and you're trying to keep children alive, what will you do? I will do anything. There's nothing you can do to stop me short of killing me. So I think your number one most dangerous person in shit hit the fan is your everyday person that's not prepared. Let them get desperate. Another thing about criminals is, they're used to having to scrape and connive ways to eke out a living. They don't work, most of them, or if they do, it's almost like they work part-time because their other job is stealing or drugs or whatever it is they do. So they're used to having to eke out, a living in kind of an off-the-wall way or a way that most of us don't have to. When 9/11 came, and I'm in Las Vegas where everything depends, and I mean just about everything depends on tourism. I got, 80,000 hotel rooms right down there. I worked in one of those. And 9/11 comes, boom, no air traffic. Ghost town, crickets, man. I walk down that strip where there's normally hundreds of thousands on the weekend. Super Bowl weekend, 400,000 on the street. New Year's Eve, 600, 500,000 people on those streets in one little, a few miles of road. And so, when that hit, I saw how quickly things can shut down. And I mean done. There was nothing. There was nobody. And that went on for months because people weren't traveling and they weren't spending their money. It shut down our country. And so when that happens, I was lucky to keep my job where I was at. And I didn't do much, but the rest of the guys, there are a lot of people, we don't need you, you're not working. When you're not working, there's no income coming in. And on top of that, you couple that with the disaster, you better be ready. And a buddy of mine in Hawaii, he sent some of my videos off to some of these people there, and they got offended that I have guns and I'm talking about all this survival stuff. But you can be offended, but just don't be stupid. You're no different than me. And if you were to meet me and have a beer with me or whatever, I would bet that most people that would meet me, I'm a pretty decent guy. I'm just a normal guy. I'm not, I'm not some militant. I'm not going to say I'm anti-government. I'm not real crazy about them, but I'm an American. It's my government still, whether I like it or not. So, I'm not some off-the-wall guy. And if you lock yourself into being closed-minded about defending yourself, surviving if something were to happen, being realistic about the world we live in, and especially about your surroundings and where you live, a lot of you are worse off than me. I'm in the suburbs, Las Vegas, pretty safe. You can walk my streets. There's very little going to happen around here. You know, doesn't mean that I'm not cautious and careful. But a lot of you live in worse places than me. And if you blindly go through life thinking nothing will happen, well, then I hope you're right. But I just wanted to touch on the fact that, you know, I don't believe it's going to be roving gangs, and that could come down the line, roving gangs of bikers and militants, or, you know, mercenaries. I believe that in shit hits the fan, you know, it's going to be the people that aren't ready that turn. They turn into people that are now desperate. And they're not just trying to eke out and grab some cash out of your purse or steal your car because they're going to fence it off or part it out. These people are trying to fucking stay alive. And when you're trying to stay alive and keep your children alive, I know that there is no law that would stop me. You know, if I'm starving and my kids are sick and dying, and I have to, I'm going to get what I need to get, and you're going to do the same thing. So the most dangerous person in a shit hit the fan situation is the everyday person that is not prepared and is taken by surprise and has to now do things they never thought they would to survive. So that is my opinion. The first guy to watch is the guy right in your neighborhood who's not prepared. Okay, the guy who maybe knows what's in your garage, the guy who's seeing you drive to work, what time you're going to work every day, and he's not prepared, and now, boom, everything shuts off, and that's the guy. He's right next door. You know, later on, maybe some roving gangs move through, or the bikers come through, maybe, but in the initial shit hits the fan, it's going to be neighbors around you, wherever you happen to be, that aren't ready. And if that's in a city, then it's going to be the people in that city that aren't ready. And then in that case, what do you want? Well, you want to be somewhere where either you're safe and you can secure it and you can survive there until it blows over, or you want to get out of there to somewhere, you know, somewhere safer, somewhere with more resources than you have. So that's all I got to say on this topic. I might or might not post this. I think I will. But, just got off work, and I think I'm going to pop myself open a beer and watch the Bears play the Cowboys in 20-degree weather. Anyway, Dan the Man, in the man cave. Just my opinion. Comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. Let me know who you think would be the ones to worry about. Let me know in your neighborhood what you're going to look for. Because what I'm going to be looking for is the everyday Joe. Aloha.